Indeed. Happy Tu B'Shvat, everybody.
Happy Tu B'Shvat.
So the I did want to say I looked up something you asked me. I didn't look it up actually, but I came across it. You asked me about sisters and seeing their hair uncovered, daughters. So I didn't actually look it up, but I did see in tomorrow's Daf Yomi. It's a famous sugya that Ula used to kiss his sister's hands. Some say their chest. Yeah, like I don't know. I mean, they were clothed, obviously, as a sign of respect. But then the Gemara says, "How could?" I think that's in a different Gemara. Here it doesn't say that. Here it says, "How could Ula?" It says it's a stira. It's a stira, because Ula himself says that you have to stay away from arayas. It does say somewhere else that it was Chacham weren't happy about him. Yeah, and it doesn't resolve it. Just asks the stira. But the Mefarshim say that perhaps Ula was, he felt he was on a level that it was not considered inappropriate for him, because his thoughts were in a different place, but nevertheless he did not recommend it. But again, this is covering hair is, not necessarily the same, just an interesting thing.
We're talking about two different levels, one from the sky, I don't understand her, because we're talking about only to see sister. Here he's kissing.
I just mentioned.
It's completely different, Rabbi.
I just mentioned the Gemara. That's all. Something you can look into for future reference.
Oh, okay. So if he's doing that, to look,
no, he didn't say it's allowed. On the contrary, he told other people not to do it. Of course, okay. Now, kiss is already you come. I'm just saying, he told people not to do it. So, but it's not necessarily the same. Touching and looking, and the hair is not the same as the body. There's all kinds of differences.
She is in the house, she's your sister, you grew up with her. I mean, you respect her, family. You will not go there for sure. So
another thing is that we learned about pets. So I mentioned that a friend of mine's fish jumped out of the aquarium, and the question was he allowed to put it back because of muktzah? So I actually did come across the Shmei Shabbos Shel Kol Chasei that says that a fish that jumped out of the aquarium, there is you're allowed to put it back on Shabbos
because he will die
because of Tsar Balachayim, V'yesh Oisrim. Not following the Neder B'Yehuda who says Tsar Balachayim doesn't apply when the animal is going to die, but other poskim that hold that it does, and that for reasons of Tsar Balachayim you're allowed to move something muktzah.
Put it back.
Correct. Now there is no shaila here about Seder. Just wanted to point that out here. There is no shaila about trapping. Sorry?
Why?
Because a fish on the ground there's no issur trapping.
Putting it back in the thing. Putting it back in the aquarium is like, why would that be said?
It's on the floor, it's already trapped. It's not moving. Can't move.
We're going from trap to trap.
Yeah. From trapped to less trapped. And if anything, it's less trapped in the aquarium than on the floor.
Right.
I'm just saying it's less trapped. It's totally trapped. I mean, if you want it, if it wouldn't be Shabbos and you want to eat it, I mean, go right ahead. I mean, it's there for you.
Oh, you're allowed to pick out from your aquarium if you have kosher fish? No, we did Shabbos. You're not Shabbos.
Shabbos?
You're not like killing animals.
No. It's one of the Avos Malchus. It's coming up in this Siman. Shochet.
No, what if you don't kill what if you don't do anything to that? No, you just take it out of the water.
That's killing. That's killing. That's how you kill fish.
Does that grow?
No, that's how you kill fish. That's the normal way to kill fish.
Just leave it.
To take it out of the water and leave it, correct. I mean, there's other ways to kill fish, obviously. That's the normal way. So he does bring in the notes also the fact that some opinions say that pets are not muktzah. The Mincha Shabbos says that a animal that is mitzaftzef, an oif that's mitzaftzef b'koil, parrots, parakeets, and so on, they are not considered muktzah, perhaps because they're like a toy. However, he does bring many poskim that disagree with that. And okay. The Yaakov Yosef actually passes to be strict on that.
Pets?
Sorry?
On what?
On pets.
Pets
Should be considered muktzah, correct. Shinches Sivav Amar Chafei. Klavim ketanim af shem miyuchadim l'shtashea beim ein l'taltalam b'Shabbos. Ubiyam tef mishum muktzah.
להשתעשע, אבל לא לטלטל.
No, I didn't say l'shtashea. I said
שמח,
af shem miyuchadim l'shtashea beim, even though they are designated for playing with, ein l'taltalam b'Shabbos. So that's what it is. All right. No further ado. Let us continue. In Siman Shin Tes Zion, Seif Hey. Seif Hey in the
כולה. ט"ו בשבט סתם.
Seif Hey in the Machaber. Shin Tes Zion Seif Hey. I don't remember.
No, we did not start A. We moved before A, to the
Check out the Rambam.
because we moved to Mishnah Berurah.
Shin.
Yes.
I don't know if we did Hey. Did we do Hey in the Alter Rebbe?
I don't remember. We moved to Mishnah Berurah right there before A.
I don't know if we did Hey in the Alter Rebbe. Let's do it now. Mutter Lufus Machzel Sogar Bekever Shel Dvarim. You're allowed to cover a beehive with a mat because of the sun.
Because you're making a small hole.
Exactly. Or the rain. As long as your intention is not to trap the Dvarim, the bees.
What's the reading of that?
Sifhei and Alter Rebbe. We're going to the Alter Rebbe. Sifhei. Yeah.
Oh. So
Now-
you cover.
No, I thought so, but I don't know if we did Sifhei and Alter Rebbe.
In the cover itself, but it's
Yeah. So the point is that actually I just wanted to mention this also because I had mentioned yesterday there is a machlokes haposkim if Devorim are b'minon nitzoid or not.
more.
B'minon nitzoid, if it's considered a species that is normally trapped or not.
Where says that they are.
It's machlokes. It's machlokes haposkim. So the reason that they should be considered b'minon nitzoid is because people actually are beekeepers and they have their bee hives, bee swarms. I don't know what they're called. They have their bees. So therefore they obviously trap them. On the other hand, there's reason to say that it should not be considered a mina nitzoid, that is this type of species that are trapped, because the very way you have bees, even when you have bees, you're never supposed to trap them. You're always supposed to leave them open to be able to go out and get the nectar from the flowers and pollen and come back and The whole thing of bees is to be free. So you want them on your property because you want their honey, but you never keep them enclosed. You give them a home, but you always give them the freedom. So
there's
there's
a big enclosed area. Like
No,
it's
no,
a
no,
closed
no.
area that has all
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. Bees need miles. They need miles. They need to be able to go to fields and trees and
Flowers, they're going
flowers. Exactly. No. Beekeepers, they don't keep their bees enclosed at all. They provide them with a home and whatever else makes bees comfortable. I'm not really sure. And they go out and they come back. Okay, so that's the reason why some say it's not called the Mina Nitzot. Okay. So you have to also do it in such a way that they're not necessarily trapped. As for example, you leave a hole that's not covered with a mat. Eventually, they could leave. Even if it is a small hole on the side that is not visible, that's no problem. Because he does not intend to trap. Then comes separation, it's not a separation. Because they could come out through that hole. It's not for sure they're not going to go out. But if there's no hole that's not covered, then it's forbidden because it is a separation. I want to point out that if your intent is to capture them, then you cannot do it even with the small hole. Because even though they could get out, the fact is it's not easy for them to get out. They don't necessarily realize. They're not smart. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand that they have to look this way and that one the other way. So practically, it's like they're almost trapped. Maybe it's not their Isa, but it's certainly also their Rabbanan if your intention is to trap them. Now, true, there are authorities who rule leniently with regard to flies, allowing one to close a container in which flies are found if they can escape when one comes to take them. So he's now going to differentiate between bees and flies. Why is it that when it comes to flies, some say you can close the drawer, even though they're trapped in the drawer? Why? Because when you open the drawer, you can't catch them anyway. So maybe the same can be said about a bee. I'll cover it, because when I uncover it, I'm not going to be able to catch the bees as they fly away. So now he differentiates. Nevertheless, here it is considered absolute trapping. The fact that the bees are in the honeycomb in such a way they can't get out. Even though he will not be able to capture them with his hands. Listen here. Because that is the best way they can be trapped. For a bee, that is considered trapped. For a fly, that's not. A drawer is not considered trapped for a fly. But for a bee, which is where they're kept, this is where they're kept, that is considered trapping for them. It's like a person who traps a lion and puts him into his kippah. What does he translate kippah? Cage. Pen. Even though it's impossible for you to actually get him with your hands, right? Even the lion tamer is not going to wrestle with the lion to hold him down. Nevertheless, he's chayim because for that animal, that is the best you can do to trap him.
It's only if we're going to cover it without any hole. So
Yeah.
we can still
Correct.
So it's a mitzvah to kill him, but not to trap him.
Mm-hmm.
You said yesterday, if he's walking in the street at the line, you kill him, it's a mitzvah.
Yeah, you could trap him. You don't have to kill him. You can trap him, either one.
But you don't allow them Shabbat to trap.
You can, whatever you can do to save a person's life, you do.
So one in the cave, he's coming out, he's killing the people outside, so they close him in the cave.
Of course. What's the question?
So what's the sentence? The writer, it's like
No, if you go to the jungle and you capture a lion and you put it in a pen, that's an Issa D'Oraisa. If it's in the city and you trap him, you did a mitzvah.
Okay. But if you go in a camp with a family and you see a lion and you trap him in a cave, so
I don't know if you'll be able to, but yeah, if you do.
So it's called mitzvah, right?
Yeah, if you do. Although I wouldn't generally recommend you're going to a place like that on Shabbos. Probably not the best way to spend your Shabbos.
Camping?
Being in a place with lions? No.
How
I'd
many years ago
recommend
he was all the time in a camp outside?
Not the lions. Anything dangerous.
Yeah,
What if it's self-dangerous? Also good.
but yeah, the answer is yes. The short answer is yes. If it's not actually dangerous, something that can cause significant harm, then it's a machlokes. But if it's actually dangerous or suffolk dangerous, then you can kill it.
So let's say it's like, well, let's not say snake. Let's say an animal that can hurt you. That's what I was saying, but what I mean, technically is not.
But is not life-threatening, that's a machlokes. It depends if you hold Melach Hashem Sech L'Gufa as chayiv, like the Rambam, or Melach Hashem Sech L'Gufa as pater. Because this is a Melach Hashem Sech L'Gufa, you don't need the animal, you just don't want it to damage you. So if it's only derabanan, so then you can kill it. You can do a derabanan to prevent a grievous bodily harm. Not sure what grievous means, but I think it means serious. Whereas if it's deraisa, then you can't. So according to the Rambam, you can't. According to the other parts, you can. That's the bottom line. But even according to the Rambam, you can do it kala achar yad. We're going to see. Okay. Number Vav in the Alter Rebbe. Apiris Matsuda.
How about scorpion could be on the same level of the lion?
I'm sorry?
A scorpion.
A scorpion, I believe, yes. Scorpion is dangerous. Although there are 1,000 species of scorpions, and only 20 of them are life-threatening.
Is that a Gemara or is that?
No, that's Google. But nevertheless, because 20 of them are life-threatening. Yeah, because of those 20, the Gemara says that it's actually Sakanas Nefashis. Akar was Sakanas Nefashis.
I learned a long time ago, if it's scorpion in that you're in the Amida, you can move.
Yeah.
But not snake.
Exactly. Scorpions are more dangerous than snakes.
You're allowed to move.
No. Scorpion. Only scorpion.
It says, I saw it. It says you're allowed to move. You're not allowed to mafsik deep.
I think you're right, yeah. I think you're talking about, yeah, Dibur, yeah. I think you're right, yeah.
זה אני זוכר שלא, long time.
Heat, you can elevate, cold, you cannot elevate, so from cold you have to run away.
Very good.
עוד הפעם?
That's for the Farbrengen after the class. We'll do the Farbrengen after. A person with Suda. A person with Suda, a person who spreads out a trap. Uveshas perisasai, if at the time that he spreads it, nichnas chayil lesoicha, a animal enters it, chayiv is chayiv. Yeah. מה אתה אומר?
We're talking about different Shabbos, so most likely you have to be Mesuda before Shabbos.
I'm talking about on Shabbos. Talking about on Shabbos.
On Shabbos?
No, you're not. Chayiv. The person who does it is chayiv.
Regardless if the animal went in or not.
No, if the animal didn't go in, it's not a Issa D'Oraisa.
But what is it? What's it?
Maybe Mukta, but also an Issa D'Rabbanan.
Making a trap?
No, of trapping.
Making a trap.
You didn't listen.
Sorry. I thought it was. I didn't know.
Patience. Apiris Mitsuda. A person who spreads a trap. U'eshas prisase while he's spreading it. Nichnasa chayev lesoicha. An animal entered it. Chayev is chayev. Aval nichnasa achar kach lesoicha. But if it entered it afterwards, so he spread a trap and an animal entered it after he was not holding it anymore. Potter is potter. Because when he spreads it, he doesn't know if it's going to trap or not. So that's called a grumma. It's called a grumma. He's causing the animal to be trapped, but he didn't trap it himself.
In general, according to this, it's going to be mutter to put a trap on Shabbos.
Mutter? What does it say mutter? Potter. Potter means potter. Aval also medivir soifrim, but it's forbidden by rabbinic law.
So wait, what about before Shabbos?
Permitted.
Wow. Cool.
Why is it wow? What's the wow? Mutter, your kalim can do work for you. Person, it's a mishnah. Person with sudas chayas v'oifas. I think it's a mishnah, if I'm not mistaken. Person with sudas chayas v'oifas. Again, all according to Beisel, right? That there's no issue of shvisas kalim. So you're allowed to. But it captures his muktzah. I mean, on Shabbos it's always muktzah, but on Yom Tov, for example, it's muktzah. When animals that are shechtable, it's muktzah because it was wild before Shabbos, so you had before Yom Tov, so you had no access to it. So then it's caught on Shabbos. It's like something that was separated from you, so to speak, before Yom Tov. So you can't shecht it on Yom Tov.
So we're allowed to catch it before Shabbat and Yom Tov and put it in a cage for Yom Tov to shecht it?
For sure, before, why not? Catch it
if it's
before.
wild, you don't allow
If
it.
you catch it before Yom Tov, you can keep it in a cage and shecht it on Yom Tov. B'kasha.
No, it's afterwards. Afterwards, after Shabbos?
No. Afterwards, after he took his hand away.
He sets the
After he set it up, exactly.
But we have learned that it's not allowed to trap an animal. I mean, it doesn't specify here under what circumstances he's doing the trap. If this is an animal that, wild animal that might endanger the family of himself.
No. Danger. We haven't spoken about dangerous animals yet. We'll get to it, but so far we're talking about regular animals.
This is part that I don't understand because we are learning trapping and now he's trapping and he set the trap on Shabbos. So after the animal comes afterwards on Shabbos, it's okay.
It's not okay. It's potter. It's exempt from a Torah violation. It wouldn't get killed in the time of Chazal when they killed people for trespassing on the Shabbos, but it's still forbidden by rabbinic law. Potter aval asa. This is an important principle. When somebody does something that's forbidden by rabbinic law, he's potter. That means he doesn't get punished by the Beis Din. He gets punished by Hashem, but not by the Beis Din. Aval asa, but it's forbidden. So that's what it is here. Mm-hmm. All right. Very quiet today from the Los Angeles and New York group. And London has not arrived yet.
We're here. We're just paying attention.
All right, as long as you're listening.
Baruch Hashem.
Okay, so we are going to learn further in the Mechaber before we go back to Alter Rebbe. If a deer entered a house, and a person closed the door, chayiv is chayiv. This is a chiddush, by the way, because you would think I didn't really do anything. I mean, I just closed the door. The deer ran in. I didn't do an action of trapping. Just close the door. No, when it comes to trapping, even that is considered trapping.
It will be chayav even if you have no knowledge that the deer went in.
No, if you had no knowledge, obviously
went
there's
to
no.
another room and you just.
Obviously, if you had no knowledge, you're not chayav. How could you be chayav if you didn't know?
It can be mishugeg, Rabbi, because they sting without thinking. You just close the door.
If you closed it without realizing what?
No, it's
That's
a
awesome.
normal. Something come up without thinking. It's right away. Close the door without thinking. Automatically,
Why?
they stink. They stink. If somebody go like that, if you go like this, it stink. The stink come in, you close.
Really?
If it's a line, you go outside and you close. But if it's a zvi, it's a stink. Sometimes.
I don't know. I don't know if that's an automatic reaction to close the door when a deer goes into my house. If a deer went into my house, I would leave the door open. I want it out as soon as possible. It's going to destroy some things in there. But certainly, if a person closes it and doesn't realize that it's ulcer, it's not chayev, but it's still a shogeg.
Then you can open it and then
You can always open it. That's not a problem. Even if you close it on purpose, you can always open it because you're allowed to set an animal free. Sorry?
Two small questions. One, if the animal is able to run through the glass and break the window and run out, is that considered also trapped inside?
Not midaraisa. Not midaraisa, but probably midrabanan, yes, because it's not easy for him to get out.
Second question, what if you close the door on purpose and within the time it would have taken him to get to the door to run out, you opened it again? So you close the door and then you open it.
That doesn't make sense.
Would it be, because I know there's ways to like reverse malachas. Like if you planted something in the ground, so before it's sprouted, before it does anything, you can take it out.
Yeah, same thing with cooking. With cooking also. If you put something in the oven, you took it out.
Right. Also with borer,
Borer is just that you can reverse it in terms of hana. When you reverse it, so maybe there's no hana from the action, but the malach is already done.
Planting.
Yeah.
So it didn't have time to do the malacha. The malacha didn't have time to be done. And you opened the door by the time you would have been able to run.
But the minute you close it, you did already the
the animal is trapped at that moment. So what if it, I mean,
without
Right, it's trapped, but it's technically
without to open to free
it's
it.
not. There was no way it could have been let free, or there's no way it could have escaped, even if the door wasn't. All right, whatever. It's a far off question.
I don't know.
So basically, there's no period of time that you would consider. As soon as you close, if it doesn't matter before a split second, consider as trapping.
Well, the person closes the door.
Silvia.
Now, you said that the raisa is not a sword, right?
The rise is a sword.
The raisa is a sword.
Absolutely. Chayev. That's the key word. Whatever it says chayev, it means chayev misa, or carbon if it's b'shagig, which is only applying if it's a daraisa.
But unwillingly. He didn't know.
Unwillingly is not chayev, but it's still an avera.
Still in a bear.
It's an avera b'shagig. He did it on purpose, by accident. So it's still a Torah violation, but it's a Torah violation by accident. He would have to bring a korban, for example, in time of the Beis Hamikdash. He would have to bring,
I was thinking about what time to relate it to Chatas.
chatos, chayav chatos.
So, these days, what the person will do if something happens like this?
Tshuva,
Sure.
thing, maybe tzedakah. There is actually a number of fasts that you're supposed to fast. It's in Shin Lamed Daled. It's in the laws of putting out a fire. Yeah, it's there.
We learn that the previous
Anida.
class.
We learned about fasting. How many fasts? Yeah.
Fasts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's discussed here also.
What does the Torah say? But what pasuk is it? Whether or not if you do it unintentionally, you should bring it home. Remember what it says?
It's in Parsha Tzav, I think.
Can you just say it one more time? You did one of the mitzvahs that you shouldn't have done, the Hashem,
And you were guilty, exactly. The pasuk doesn't specifically say that it's only for an Isser Kares, but the Gemara learns it out because it says it next to Avodah Zarah. So Avodah Zarah is an Isser Kares, so it applies to all Isser Kares.
Only Israel.
Kares and Misa B'Teshima, and Misa's Bezdin. Kares and worse, but not less.
And the tshuva, if it was accidental, I had a problem with this a long time. Not that it's like my personal problem. Just I don't really get that I'm sorry for doing something accidentally.
The shogeg is not when the person did something beyond his control. Shogeg is when a person forgot. You understand? He forgot. Forgetting is something that you
Let's say
are
an automatic
responsible.
reaction. For example, I walk into the bathroom, turn on the light.
That's called forgot.
It's called forgot.
That's called forgot. You need to say you forgot it was Shabbos. If you remembered it was Shabbos, you wouldn't have done it. When I say completely beyond your control, I mean brushing up against a light and turning it on, with your body while you're brushing up against it. That's
Standing up and turning the light on.
exactly. That's totally beyond control.
That doesn't.
No carpet, no.
That will be.
No tshuva is necessary?
Willingly.
That's completely unwittingly. That's an
No
argument.
tshuva is necessary?
I don't think so.
There was no intention.
I don't think so.
Right?
But then a person did an action, he knew what he was doing, but he forgot that it was Shabbos, or he forgot that it's forbidden action. So that's something he should have been more aware. Should have been more aware.
Because of the action, right, Rabbi?
If he would have really had, Shabbos uppermost in his mind, he wouldn't have, come to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
Like a person would never by mistake put his hand into a fire, he just wouldn't do it. If a person's awareness of Shabbos would be that strong, he would never do it. We have to increase it, but it's also a good idea to buy. You can buy these little things that you put over the. The Judaica stores have them. Judaica stores in New York definitely have them. You can put a little magnet thing that covers it.
Yes, magnet, yes.
It attaches itself to the screws.
The two screws, the two screws over there?
They have more complicated ones that you have to screw on and screw off, but the magnet ones are easy. You just put them on before Shabbos, take them off.
The best. I don't have it. Really? I don't have it. This is the best.
Okay, so Na'olish Nine Petur, my friends. Here we learn an important principle, which I don't know if we've ever discussed, at least not at length. If two people do the action of closing the door,
It's your favorite part.
Sifei.
Hey,
It's still in the Mechaber.
when we went to the Machal, we saw the Baital
No, we went to the Mechaber. I mean, Sifei and the Mechaber. Na'olish Nine. If two people close the door,
It's your favorite.
and it's something that could have been done by one person, Shnayim Sha'asa'uhu, when two people did something, sure, they're both pater.
What if it was the trap was set, and then the animal went in, and the trap was set by two people?
One second. I just want to say the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah says, "V'im nefesh achas techta b'shkaga me'ama oretz ba'asoisa." If a person will sin, ba'asoisa, when he does, he says, "Kulav lo yisayis es miktsasa." Only if he does the whole thing, not if he does part of it. Your question, sorry?
My question was, what if it was done by two people, and then the animal went inside minutes later?
How does the animal get inside if you close the door? What does that mean? You're talking about a trap, not a door. If two people set up a trap and then the animal went in,
Yeah.
So they each did half an Issa D'Rabbanan. Does it apply to D'Rabbanans? I assume so.
No, I'm saying Shnayim Sasua in the D'Rabbanan. So, no big deal.
I would say it's no big deal. I don't think it's mutter, but it's not as bad. Okay, my friends, listen to this. If it's a big, heavy door that it takes two to be able to close it, one of those big castles, with those big moats, and you need two people to close the door. So then Shnei Chayavim, exactly. Then they're both Chayav, because their action is a significant action. When it's an action that can be done by one.
Like this door. It's easy to open.
Exactly. If it's a regular door, so it's easy to do. So therefore, if one of them does it, if two of them do it together, each of them are not doing a significant action. But if it's a heavy door that needs two, each of them is doing a significant action. on the other hand, the Mishnah Berurah says, if one of them can do it because he's a big, strong guy, and the other one cannot do it on his own, but he helps anyway, then what's the halacha?
What was the case?
There's one guy who's a big, strong man, and he could close this heavy door himself. And there's another regular guy who can't do it himself. And Lamaisa, they do it together. What's the halacha?
I would say both of them chayav, but the big one should be more chayav.
More chayav. There's no such thing as more chayav. We either throw him down, chas v'shalom, and give him the treatment, or we don't.
Isn't nothing about average person? Average.
The weak is patur.
A weak one is pater is correct.
Right.
The one who could do it himself is considered to be the one who did it. The guy. The one who couldn't do it himself.
So what's Shnaim Shasu?
Shnaim Shasu is in a case when both of them could have done it on their own.
Like this.
So in that case, the guy who helped is called a Messiah, and Messiah in Beimamish. The helper is not significant. Couldn't have done it. He could have done it without him, and he himself couldn't have done it himself. So his action is not significant. It's still awesome Rabban, but it's not significant in terms of chiyuv. We have a Pesach Kvarma Guf of Mutter Lenoya Loy B'Minoya. Okay, my friends, listen carefully to this. If the door is already closed, it already closed, the wind closed it. You're allowed to lock it. Because the animal is already trapped. Animals don't know how to open doors. You want to lock it to make sure nobody opens it by mistake, or maybe the animal doesn't somehow open it by mistake, but it's not practical. The mice is already trapped. That's called muter lahoisif shmira al shmirase. You're allowed to add an extra protection against an already trapped animal. That's the principle in Hilchos Seder. You're allowed to add an extra protection.
Just give me an idea.
Yes.
You have a fan to cool the room,
Yes.
and the tzvi go inside. You can move the fan and it close the door.
No. No.
This is also melacha.
That's grama. That's grama.
Let's go.
It's not a deraisa, but derabanan. Yes. Okay. Here goes the Alter Rebbe. Seif Zayin. Tzvi shenichnas labayis me'elav. A deer that entered the house on its own. That no alechad else b'fanav, and somebody closed the door. Afilu loy na'ala b'minal. Even if he didn't lock it, ela shegefafa lavad, he only closed it. In such a way that the deer is guarded and is not able to escape. That is considered the way to trap the deer. Okay, he says in note 34, if you have the Alter Rebbe, he says, we are speaking about a house small enough that it would be easy to capture the deer afterwards, as stated in subsection 1. It's also which emphasizes that the person is held liable even though he did not chase the deer into the house, but merely closed the door. Okay. While we're talking about the fact that it's a small house, I do want to point out something I came across in the 39 Malachas today. In terms of defining what it means that something is small enough that you could reach it in one run. So he says, first of all, it also means that that there can't be any nooks and crannies. There can't be any corners for it to hide. So if it's like a narrow space and it's short enough so that you could run to it, like we said yesterday, without having to catch your breath, then it's already considered trapped at that point. If you need a keli, if you need any kind of special instrument, or you have to go back and forth, then it's already not considered trapped mid'oraisa, but mid'arabanan still.
So it's going to be in a normal hour time room. You have the bed, table, chair, so man can go on,
Depends what size animal. A deer, the bed is not going to help an animal like a deer, but a rabbit in a room is probably not considered trapped yet because you can run. Deraisa. Rabbanan, yes, but not deraisa. Another point he makes in the third Amlach is interesting, is that there is no Isser. There's an Isser D'Rabbanan to bring it to a semi-confinement, right? That means to a rabbit in a house, a bird in a house, something like that. Isser D'Rabbanan to bring it to semi-confinement. Isser D'Oraisa to bring it to tight confinement. But he says there is no Isser at all to bring it from semi-confinement to a smaller semi-confinement. That means, let's say you have a rabbit in the house already. It's already in the house. You're allowed to close the door on a room if it's not considered trapped in that room. Even though it's easier to trap than it was before. It used to be in the whole house, now it's only one room. But the fact is, before it was only the Rabbanan trapped, and now it's only the Rabbanan trapped. So that's mutter. It's
What
only.
are you doing with this rabbit?
Sorry?
Get the rabbit. What are you doing?
Play, give it to your kids. No. I don't know, what do people do with rabbits?
What's the point of trapping it?
What was the point of trapping it?
Sell it to the guy.
I mean, in Yiddish they say akasha af maisa.
Right,
What's your
so-
question exactly?
Right, so
Why did you trap it?
No, let's
I don't
take it home. Let's say a rabbit ran into a house, you close the door behind you, so you can get the rabbit. Now it's trapped. We don't know about it.
Rabbanan, yeah.
So you going and putting that and catching the rabbit, so you're putting it in a cage.
If you put it in a cage, that's an Issa D'Oraisa. To bring it from a loose confinement to a tight confinement is a D'Oraisa. Because it's not trapped yet on a Torah level, when you make it trapped on a Torah level, that is a Torah violation.
That's what I want to get. Okay.
This trapping also applies to birds.
Yes.
So if a bird goes into an inside house, then what happens? We cannot close the door.
Open the door so it
Sorry. The Mishnah Berurah says that if your intention is not to capture the bird, and leaving the door open would make you very uncomfortable, for example, it's cold outside, so then you can close it.
What about other birds?
What do you mean by other birds?
I want another bird to fly in.
Huh? It's not a reason.
So you want to catch it.
Not a reason to close it.
You don't want other birds to fly in? Is that what you're
Yeah, I
saying?
want another bird to fly.
Oh. I don't know. That I don't know.
Open any issue with bracha, with kiddush, in the presence of a non-kosher animal, on the same roof.
Your issue with what, sorry?
Bracha or anything, when you have a non-kosher animal in the same room.
No. Not that I know of. Not that I know of.
The feces of an animal,
Feces are a problem.
even of birds. I think when I remember learning that. No Siman.
There's a whole Siman of Shulchan Aruch about it. I think donkeys are a problem.
Yeah. Not the dog problem.
Donkeys are a problem.
Even if you're in a
And-
city where majority, whatever, there's a lot of donkeys, you can't make a problem unless you saw this facility in place.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. It's the whole thing with donkeys. But other animals, I think it's only a problem if it actually smells. The fact that it's there, by a human being, the fact that it's there, it's in Dalet Amos, is a problem, smells or not. But other animals, I think it's only a problem if it actually smells. That's what I have in my head, but I'm not 100% sure. Question? Yeah, I mean, the thing about bracha, somebody asked me yesterday about having a dog in the room or something. So from the fact, I didn't see clearly that it's allowed, but from the fact that there's a discussion in the Poskim about having a dog in shul, right?
Sure.
There's a discussion in the Poskim about having a dog in shul, and some forbid it because they say the Esnan Zoina Umechir Kelev Beis Hashem Alekecha. You're not even allowed to bring a animal that was exchanged for a dog as a carbon. So because a dog is like bad natured and you can't bring an animal that was brought with a bad natured animal for a carbon. So how much more so if that's what's bought for a dog, how much more so a dog itself? And I had No, it's not the. So a shul is like a Beis Hamikdash, whatever. So some say you can't, and some say no. Beis Hamikdash is Beis Hamikdash, shul is shul, korban is korban. It's not the same. So Lamaisa, or Moshe says that when it comes to a seeing eye dog, it comes to other dogs, better to be machmer. Not for me. When it comes to a seeing eye dog, it's better to be machmer. A regular dog, better to be machmer, not bring it to shul. But a seeing eye dog for a person who's blind helps him, can be make. So I'm saying, but from that discussion, it seems like, other than the fact that it's a dog specifically, it wouldn't be a problem. The fact that you're saying brachas in shul, obviously, and davening, if not for the dog issue, it seems like it's a problem. That it's not a problem. Okay. What were you asking about a bird? Yeah. So here's the thing. In answer to your question, two reasons why we're lenient in your question. In case of your question, again, a bird flew into the house. You want to close the door. So the Mishnah Berurah says if it's very cold, you're allowed to. So there's two reasons to be lenient. First of all, it's that the bird is not trapped even after you close the door. Because by Torah law, for it to be considered trapped, it has to be so close, you could just grab it like that. A bird in a room is not like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to go to this side, that side, until you catch it. It's a whole big thing. When I was a kid, we had a very traumatic experience when my sister got a bird, and it escaped the cage, and we tried to catch it, and my father was trying to catch it, and we said, "Turn around and throw it behind you," and he closed the cupboard door, and it was sitting on top of the cupboard, and we had a funeral in the back. Very traumatic experience. But the point is that a bird is not considered trapped in a room. I mean, if it's a very big bird, yes, but a small bird is not considered trapped. So on a Torah level, you didn't trap it anyway. Plus, your intention is not to trap it. Your intention is just to keep the house warm a little bit. So when that's the case, we have the opinion of the Rashba that is helpful here. The Rashba says, big chiddush, my friends, but here's the Rashba. The Rashba says that if a deer is in your house, you're allowed to close the door to protect the articles in your house from being stolen.
Which door?
Front door.
To keep it in your house? Or
No. You're not doing it to keep it in the house. You're doing it because you want to close the door. You don't want people coming into your house. Nothing to do about the deer. There's a deer in your house, right?
Yeah.
But your intention to close the door when you're closing the door is not to trap the deer, but just so robbers can come into your house. The Rashba says that's allowed.
Is the kavanah different?
Because the kavana is for your house, not to catch the deer, which is a huge chiddush, because normally we say psik reisha, v'lo yamos, is aser. It's not your kavanah, it doesn't make a difference. When it's for sure going to happen, it's forbidden. Here the Rashba says no. That if your intention is for something else, even though it's a psik reisha, it's still allowed. Which basically, I read a few different explanations of the Rashba's reasoning. One is from the Avnei Nezer.
I put this one.
I'm good, thank you.
Try it.
No. Say it again. So, one reason I read from the Avnei Nezer is that you're not doing an action on the animal itself. You're doing an action on the house.
It's like snow outside. It's cold. It's the same.
I'm just saying. The point is, he says it wouldn't necessarily apply when you're doing an action with the malacha itself and say, well, I have another intention. When you're doing a malacha you're doing the action on something else, and that action causes both a malacha and something else, and your intention is just for the something else, according to the Rashba, it's okay.
I have a question, so maybe they'll have to answer. your intention to close the door is to prevent another animal from coming. So there's one.
Same question. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you see the two running, one making into your house.
I understand.
Rabbi, I'll give you another nice one. You see the lion running after the tree. You must close the door.
I understand, but I just want to finish. So in answer to your question, so the birds. So when the Mishnah Berurah is saying you're allowed to close it for two reasons. First of all, it's only the Rabbanan, because the bird is not really trapped yet in the room. Second of all, because according to the Rashba, it's okay anyway, because your intention is not to trap it. Now, we don't rely on the Rashba only, because most of the Rishonim disagree with the Rashba, but in a case of a D'Rabbanan, and it's cold, so whatever, we're lenient for those two reasons. Question?
Now, about the feces and the Raisa, how could we resolve the issue?
What's the Raisa?
The
Feces of a bird is not the Raisa.
No, the deer.
Human feces is the Raisa. I don't think
No,
a deer is the Raisa, no.
only human.
Human, I don't know about donkeys, I don't know, but I think it's only humans that are Raisa.
If it's coming to your house and you put it in the cage, you put it in a cage, it's coming to the house. That's why we talked about
you
the
have
right.
to help the animal to go out. If you got shot in your house, correct? When you
Yes.
put a rope on her to lead her outside the house,
No,
It's trapping, no? Is that not trapping in of itself?
yes, that is trapping in and of itself. You're not allowed.
You hit her?
Oh, you mean for muktzah reasons? I think so. You're allowed to touch muktzah. You just can't move muktzah. So yeah, I think you can.
That's a matzah.
Sorry?
That's a matzah.
Yeah.
You probably have to leave the house.
Yeah,
Dangerous.
a
It's
deer,
dangerous. Can you trap it?
a deer in a house is definitely
It's
going to do
dangerous.
serious
Why would you be able
damage.
to trap the animal? If you're in the house with the animal and it's not happy that people are staring at it, it's closed, doesn't know what to do, it's acting crazy, so you'd be able to take it out, right? Trap it, take it out.
for the attack.
No trap, just let them know where is the door.
Send them a text.
Yeah, text me.
Put a sign.
You're allowed to take a stick and push her on the side, to the door.
You can push it out. Push it out.
She bite you.
Push it out. I mean, in general, it depends on the situation. To say that it's dangerous, it depends. Depends on the situation. I don't know.
If it's angry, that's
If it's dangerous, then you do what you need to do.
Then you kill it, right, Rabbi?
It depends also who's in the house. If you're the only one there, you could just leave. It's only dangerous if you're there.
If you get babies, Rabbi, you can kill
I'm
it.
saying it depends on the situation. What about it?
What about the child?
What about it?
The house, you need to install it. Child is-
Feed it to the deer.
She gonna-
Feed it to the deer. Maybe that'll calm it down, actually. Okay. So,
Finish with the deal, no.
finished. We're just getting started. Zwischen Hilchos Labais Me'ela, v'nach ha'aros b'fanav.
It's a more different one.
אפילו לא לשכוח לבד, והוא בעניין שצוי שמר, כך שליח לברר חי, מפני שזהו צוי דוסי.
Rabbi, you waiting for me?
Alter Rebbe, 7. No Shnayim. If two people close the door, Turim their potter. Here's the principle, my friends. Shekol melacha sheyachol echad la'aseh v'aseh shnayim. Any melacha that one could have done it, and instead it was done by two, Turim their potter. Because it's not being done in the usual way. It's not normal at all. It's not usual for two people to do what is normally done by one person. Okay, my friends, I just want to share with you a machloikas achronim as to whether this is an isur d'oraisa. Actually, it doesn't say it's an isur. Does it say it's an isur? Torah. It doesn't say it's d'oraisa, but it is also a rabbanon.
Why would the case that you said one big guy, one small guy?
One second, let me just finish. It is also the rabbanon to have two people do together what one person can do, It's machlokes achronim if that's an iser de oraisa. It's definitely not punishable. It's potter. But is it iser de oraisa like a chatzi shir, or is it iser de rabbanon because perhaps it's a kalach hayad? Whenever you do something that you could have done yourself with somebody else, that's an unusual way to do it. So it's kalach hayad. So that's a machlokes, but it's definitely not chiyuv misa. Yeah. Question.
What would be the case to say like the big guy was able to do it by himself?
Hmm?
The other one, the weak one.
Couldn't have done it by himself, right? Exactly.
Hmm?
Yep.
So why not going to be part also? Because they did it together.
It's not considered together because what the little guy didn't make a difference. The big guy could have done it without him. The little guy couldn't have done it. So what he did is called a messiah.
Yeah,
He helped in a way that's not significant.
But we just say, כל מלאכה שפעל על ידי אחד ועשו השניים, פתו.
Which time?
Yeah, that's if the shtayim did it together. But here, where one of them did it and the other one didn't do anything significant, it's not considered that they both did. The
But
one
it
who
can be
did.
any case, it's two guys doing something, could be that one do more than the other one.
The big one he can do by himself. Because שניהם חזקים.
When both of them could have done it.
Yes, both.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's what it means. When both of them could have done
Then שניהם
it. Shout
חזקים.
it אותו דבר.
Here, he's saying it right now. ואם אין אחד יכול לנעול בלבד, ונעול השניים, חייב. If each of them could not have done it themselves, and they did it together, then they're chayiv. If one is able to do it himself and the other one is not, then no, they did it together. The one who is able to is chayiv, and the one who is not able to is potter. Because he's only helping the one who's able. And a helper is not significant. It is not substantial enough to incur liability. The same thing applies to all the malachas of Shabbos. Meaning to say his action is not considered a significant action. When they both did it together, so neither of them did something significant. Okay, so they're both potter. But when one did it and he could have done it himself, his action is significant. The one who couldn't do it himself, his action is not significant. So the one who did it is considered the one who could have done it. And there's a famous word that goes with this halacha that I don't know if I've shared yet with this round. And that is, I heard from Rabbi Green, I think is his name. Green, former Rosh Yeshiva of Birchas HaTorah in the Old City. I just heard one little speech from him. It was a very nice speech. So he was saying, what's the pshat that Nasa Shutul HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be Ma'aseh Bereishis? Whoever does, says Vayechulim Friday night, becomes a Shutul with Hashem and Ma'aseh Bereishis. What did you do already? You said Vayechulu. Hashem made the world. And you're a shutaf. I mean, what's going on here? So he said the word is Shnaim Shasu, if two people do it. And it's a thing that cannot be done by each of them separately. They need each other. And they're both chayiv, regardless of the fact of how much one of them did. Sorry? They're both chayiv. If Shnaim Shasu, if it's a thing that they can't do separately, they need each other. No. If they both can do it, then it's potter. But if they both can't do it separately, can't do it separately, then it's chayiv because it's a significant act. Regardless of the fact that one of them did 99%, one of them did 1%, that doesn't make a difference. As long as they couldn't have done it themselves, they needed the other guy, they're both chayiv, they're both a significant act. So the fact is Hashem created the world. That's wonderful. But Hashem wants, so to speak, with quotation marks, needs us to publicize his creation, right? That's the job of the Jewish people, to tell the world that Hashem made the world. That's why he chose us to spread the light and so on. So that's something that, so to speak, he can't do. Of course, he can do whatever he wants, but I'm saying the way he set up the system is that that's something we can do. So even though we're doing, nothing compared to him, but since that's something that only we can do, so it's considered a significant action.
There's one reason why you just say it with someone else. You miss the meaning.
The Mishnah Berurah says that because it's called an edus. It's called an edus, so he says you should say it with two because it's like an edus. But not everybody agrees. Chazon Ish didn't really hold of it. of that thing of saying it with two people.
I saw that if you're saying it with one, you could say it with one. You should have in mind not.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay.
Also, in fact, you accepted the Torah. You didn't give you a whole Hashem and destroy the world.
Uh-huh.
So
we're also should in that sense. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. The im ches im hoya ha-pesach meguf of kvar bedeles achnas for the bayis. If the door was already closed after the deer went in, that whether it was closed on its own, or somebody else passed by and closed it. Ches, shin tezayin ches.
Well, it's going to be all this concept of trapping. We're talking about Mechassim out there, but let's say the deer jumped through the windows. If it's not the regular way, and you close the window, you will also. What?
Makes no difference. Door, window. Mazam shana.
Because usually he's not going to find his way out through the window.
Oh, if he's not going to find his way out, then it's okay.
He jumped in through the window, but doesn't mean he's going to go out through the window.
Right.
In general.
Yeah, I hear you.
Close the window.
If it's considered trapped when the window is open, meaning to say that normally he wouldn't be able to get out, then you're allowed to. Because that's like lahoitza shmir al shmiras.
Open a window and close my door.
One more time, you're allowed to open your window and close the door. Yeah.
Open a window and you can technically leave through and close my door.
He might go out.
Good. No, I'm saying in a case where you can leave through the window.
Would you window blowing up?
It's definitely making it more difficult, I'm assuming.
It's like worrying where you
Well, let's say my
cover
sliding,
and
I open my sliding glass door on the back, and I close my front door.
Oh, it's sliding.
I think it's okay.
He's going in the backyard. It's fence over there.
I think it's okay because
Rabbi, it's
I
fence
think it goes under the same category of what the third Nine Malacha says, that if it's in semi-confinement, you're allowed to put it into further semi-confinement as long as it's not a tight confinement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do get what you're saying, but over here there was no reason.
What do you mean? Once it's in the house,
With the door open.
the door open, it's still semi-confined.
Is there to put an animal in the house with the door open? Can I lead a deer into my house with the door open?
You're saying because it's not even semi-confined, because it's not trapped at all. Get out. Not sure. Not sure.
There's no issue because he came by himself, Rabbi. If he came by himself,
Could be it's mutter. Could be it's mutter because you didn't actually trap it yet. You're leading it up to be trapped, but it hasn't been trapped yet. Not sure. Okay. The point is you're allowed to lock the door because once the deer is guarded in such a way that it cannot escape, it's already considered trapped. When you lock it with a lock, even though you're guarding it more so, it's like you're guarding it from thieves. That's not considered seda. Meaning to say, you're guarding it to make sure that nobody else should take it. You're not guarding it to make sure that it doesn't escape. So you're just keeping it safe. That's all.
So basically,
You're not actually
he did
trapping
come and push the door because it get open to the inside, and the door, he walked in and the door closed behind him.
it's okay.
So it's his problem, basically.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So, but if I go into the house, I open the door, and I close it again. It's
Can't.
still fine?
No, you
So
can't.
why- as
Once
soon
you
as
open the door, you
I
can't close
leave
it.
the door open.
Once you open the door, you can't close it unless you open it. I discussed this yesterday, in such a way that your body fills the opening, and then you close it as you go in, so that it's never open. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way.
Oh, nice one.
Yes.
But we said there's not tfisa tfisa. It's capture already. By me opening the door doesn't mean that it's a release.
No, it does mean. Who said? You're allowed to release it, but it does mean that it's released. You're allowed to release it, but once you release it, you can't capture it again. I didn't say ein tfisa tfisa. I said you're allowed to be moisef shmira al shmirase. That means if the door's already closed, you're allowed to lock it. That's true. But we don't say that once it's trapped, you can't trap it again. It's not like ein bishal achad bishal. You know what I'm saying? Ein seda achad seda. It's not true. You can trap an animal 100 times on Shabbos. Every time it goes free, trap it again. Which brings me back to talk about cats and dogs, but I'll get back to that soon. Let's go.
What if you are scared of it? Does that fall underneath anything we talked about yesterday?
So definitely you will not close the door.
Let's say, for example, there's a snake, something that's captured.
Snakes are considered something that's captured.
So
yes.
let's say a person sees a snake in the room, and obviously he doesn't go on. Well, that's already.
You kill it. You kill it.
Well, now, if it's a poisonous snake.
I have zero knowledge about what the poison snake. Personally. Not even a little bit of a hint of an inkling of knowledge.
So you
what's
kill
poisonous and what's not.
You kill it.
הוא מפחד אבל. הוא לא רוצה להתקרב אליו.
That wasn't a question. Let's deal with an animal that's let's say, for example, let's say a rat.
Yeah. I know all about rats.
Right?
We've had them, got rid of them, Baruch Hashem. What? You want the gory one or the simple one? No, actually, once we actually had a nice happy ending. It was an opossum, and we got an animal lover's trap. Doesn't kill the animal. That just the animal goes in, to get some food, and it closes the door. And then we took it down the street and let it out for some other neighbor.
Regularly, right?
So that was once.
Not in Shabbat, right?
But basically, what I did was with the rats and the future times. What happens is we have the garage with little openings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for the
vents. So I waited till the animal left at night because they go out at night to eat. How did I know that it left? Because I put newspapers. My neighbor explained to me this whole system. You put newspapers there. So you see when the newspapers are pushed out, to get out, they need to push it out of the way. So then I just packed that opening, closed it off with cinder blocks. That was the end. Anyway, question?
That nice. Anyways. But so if a person sees a rat in a room,
yes,
and he's scared of rats,
yes, for some strange reason, yes.
I mean, rats are gross.
Yes.
I don't want to say scared, but I don't want to be anywhere near a rat.
Yes, I hear you. Yes.
I had to run out of the room like a little girl and close the door behind me.
Close the door behind you. Why? So it shouldn't get to the rest of the house?
Right. I'll deal with it later.
So you trap in the room, right?
It's trapped in the room.
Big sheila.
I've been in James.
I can see from distance if that's good cross. Back away. Turn back.
Big sheila.
What? I mean, I think a rat can bite, right? Yeah. Rats can bite, right? Rats can bite and rats can.
So you kill.
I don't mean to give specific example of the rat. My question was many things many little things that jump on you and they bite you.
You bring the cat. You don't have a cat. The neighbor cat.
Let's talk about elephant.
You like?
I mean, we are going to learn later about animals that cause harm when we discuss the permissibility to trap them. But I don't know if this is called harm. It's more like disgust.
You said it can bite you. It can jump on you and bite you.
If it feels attacked, it's going to bite. But if you don't start up with the rat, it's not going to bite you. It's not like a vicious creature.
Right.
If it's under attack, it'll fight back. I don't think rats unprovoked. I don't think they. No. If they feel cornered, they'll fight. Yeah.
We said yesterday about lizards and things like that, cockroaches and frogs.
Yeah.
If you see one of those in the room, can you just shut the door behind you and not let it get out? Say it's in your bedroom or in a...
It's not considered a trap because
Cockroach is not going to listen to you just because you want it to stay in the bedroom with the closed door.
Right.
A door doesn't really do
Is
much.
it under the
Say a
door?
frog.
A frog. A frog is aimed at meter nitzoid, right? It's not something that is normally trapped for itself. And also in the room, it's not really trapped. You understand what I'm saying? A frog in a room, it's not trapped midaraisa. It's only semi-confinement. So it's a double derabbanan.
No, why is the trap in Durban?
Derabbanan, yes,
Okay.
not midaraisa. So I'm saying it's a double derabbanan. Maybe there's room to be lenient there. See what I'm saying?
You're scared?
Yeah, because you're scared, because maybe even psychological distress. I don't know. So maybe there's room for it to be lenient because a double derabbanan. The truth is the same is true about a rat. Actually, a rat is derabbanan,
Right, it's also...
and probably in a room it's not so easy to catch, depending on the room. But it's probably not so easy to catch. So could be it's a double derabbanan.
Rob said that mice are caught for...
No.
What did the Rav say? People have pet mice.
Oh, people do have pet mice. That's true.
It's mice.
People do have
I had
pet mice.
mice. I didn't have rats. Rats are huge. I had mice.
Yeah. Not sure. Not sure about mice. Not sure about them.
I got the name. It's white ground, like you put it in the clothes. You know that it smells white. How you call it?
No girls are.
And you put that. Naftalin.
Mice? They're afraid of mice?
They're afraid of that smell.
They're afraid from the smell?
Yeah, the thing is, it's like a. I don't know. But you put it around the house.
Okay. All right, we're doing Sivach in the Machaber. Ha-yoshav echad ala Pesach umilay. A person sat in the doorway and he filled the doorway. Instead of closing the door, he sat in the doorway. Usually the second guy can sit next to him. Now here's a good trick. Even if the first guy left, the second one is exempt to mutter, and it's even permissible. The first one is chayiv. Here's what happened. A deer wandered into your house. A guy sat in the doorway, preventing the deer from leaving.
Just stand up.
He shouldn't have done it, but he did it. So you...
Standing in the doorway is also wrong?
Yeah.
Standing in the doorway?
Yeah. Any whether standing or sitting, whatever you do in such a way that the deer cannot get out. Right? The deer is afraid of you, so it's not going to come charging through you. So if you're in the doorway, it's going to stay in the house. So that's called trapping. One second. So the point is, if you come when this guy is sitting there, and you sit down next to him, also in the doorway. So at that time, you're not over on anything because you're just moisif shmira ashmira, so you're just adding to the guarding. Now, if he gets up and leaves, how does he leave if you're blocking? I don't know. He climbs over you. He goes inside the house or whatever. So now the animal is guarded, but you didn't do an act of trapping. Because when you started, it wasn't an act of trapping. So all you're doing is sitting there, keeping it trapped. You're not trapping it. You're keeping it trapped. So that's actually mutter. The first guy did the aver. You didn't do anything wrong. Yes.
The first one is the Chayam. What's happened if you come from the synagogue and then you and this stand up in the door and you see that the tzvi, it's inside. So now you shock and you're in front of it. So it's called.
It's unintentional.
Yeah, if you're already in the doorway, then it's unintentional. Then it's not.
Just to clear. One person knocking the door, the other one comes in next to him. So basically, the second one is not blocking the door. It's not in the doorstep. If the first one comes, the door gets open. So
there's three possibilities for this
unless you're
situation.
talking about, let's say, like one seat and he's sitting in front of him.
There's three possibilities of this halacha to happen. Listen carefully. Possibility number one, let's say this is the doorway.
No, right. Here's the door. There we go. I'm blocking the door.
No, a thick door.
What do you mean fix a big door?
I'm saying a doorway that has space. It's like in the castles, a thick doorway.
With no door, just opening.
Maybe it has a door, maybe it doesn't have a door.
Space to go?
Sorry?
You're saying a wider door?
No, not wider. The actual doorway, the actual walls are thick, right? There's room for two people to sit within the
Oh, they're
doorway.
not sitting like this. Sitting like this.
I'm giving you three possibilities.
Oh.
Three possibilities. You have a thick doorway. These are the mezuzot, right? These are the doorways, right? Here's the ceiling. Here's the house. Here's the garden. So possibility number one, the first guy is sitting here. The animal can't get out. The second guy comes and sits here
So why is a betzido?
next to him.
It's different. So
Okay.
betzido is next.
Doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference. He's sitting this way. He's facing this way. Whatever. So then this guy can get up and leave, go into the house, and you're still burning. That's number one. Case number two is the guy sitting here. You're in the house. You come sit here. He goes out. Same thing. Case number three. Now listen to case number three. This is what you want to hear. Case number three is there's room in the doorway for two people to sit. But once one person is sitting, the deer is not going to come through because it's too narrow a space.
And a human over there.
A human can fit, and maybe even the deer could fit, but he's not going to because it's too close to the human. So if the guy sits here and you sit next to him, even though you're closing that space, but he couldn't have gone out through that space anyway because it was too narrow. Now he gets up and leaves. He's not going to go through that space either. You're good.
What's happened if a third person come over and sit over there, and the second person
Okay. Then everybody's good.
Shmarot. So until after Shabbat.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay? Only
Yeah.
the first one, Chaya.
But essentially, the third one, if the second guy is just blocking the narrow path, and
So?
actually now the first one started walking away, so basically now the opening is much bigger.
No, it's the same. The first guy was blocking half, and it was narrow. Now the second guy blocked the other half, so now it's 100% closed. But if the first guy goes away, that's only half. It's still too narrow for him to leave.
So I find another kasha.
Yeah,
A goy come over and sit, and Jew come over and sit second time. Goy left.
no problem.
No problem. The goy so it's nobody chayav.
Nobody chayav. Baruch Hashem.
You allowed to tell the goy
Hell no, you can't tell it. If he does it.
if he does by himself.
Yeah. All right, my friends, Tess in the Alter Rebbe. Tzvi shenichnas labayis. That wasn't Mechaber, now we're starting the Alter Rebbe. Back and forth. Tzvi shenichnas labayis. Excuse me, a deer that entered the house. No, Mechaber. Alter Rebbe, Tess. Tzvi shenichnas labayis. A deer entered the house. V'yashem lechala pesach milahu. Somebody sat on the doorway and filled it. He didn't leave enough space for the deer to escape. That person is chayav. Okay, the Alter Rebbe here gives the third example I gave. It's allowed for another person to sit next to this guy in the space between him and the doorpost. Even though he's adding a guarding to the first person's guarding. Even if the first person got up and left, and the shmir was finished. And now it's only the guy sitting there that is keeping it guarded. Because the space that was left when the first guy got up is not enough for the deer to run away.
Okay, well, what if a tzvi and a goat went inside the house?
Yeah,
So
too
you're
complicated.
working-
Too complicated. Let me finish. Nevertheless, the second guy does not have to stand. He's allowed to sit there until it gets dark. And take his prize, can take the deer. Why? Since when he sat down, it was permissible. She was the deer was already captured by the first guy sitting. He doesn't have to leave when the first guy gets up. Because he's not accomplishing anything with this sitting down. He's only guarding the deer that's already trapped. He's even allowed to do this in the first place. Because when he sits there, he's not trapping it. And once he's sitting there, it's already trapped. When the guy leaves, it's already trapped. He's not doing an action of trapping. There's no isser to keep a trapped animal trapped. That's the bottom line. There's an isser to trap it. There's no isser to keep it trapped. Your question.
What if the two animals, a deer and a goat?
Yeah.
So, should they never pass, the deer cannot go, but the goat, yes.
But I didn't discuss something we discussed yesterday. Just 1 second. Cats and dogs. If you stay for a minute. I'm sorry?
So one animal actually cannot go out, but the second one could go out. So by the second one will come and sit, is dropping the small animal, no?
I don't know what you mean. A goat
A goat
and a deer
went into the house.
went into the house.
One-
Goats are domestic, but yeah. A wild goat? A wild goat?
But
Wild goat,
the
yeah.
smaller ones are the deer.
Yeah,
One guy came and sit by the door.
yeah,
Okay, the deer cannot go out,
yeah.
but the goat can come out.
Okay, so you're not let us sit.
Now the second guy comes and sit.
You shouldn't have. Didn't have air.
So the both side of it.
Correct.
So even in our case of just the deer, the second guy is also chayav?
No.
So why in this case is he?
Because he said the goat could have gone out with that space, and then he sat up and he filled up the space. So he's trapping the goat.
What's the difference between a deer and a goat leaving? They both won't leave.
There's no. He's saying it's a smaller animal, and it would be able to get out through that opening.
Even if the deer technically has space to leave, even if it has space to leave, it's still.
No, because it doesn't have space to leave. That's why the first guy's chayav, the second guy's not.
So
They'd say it's too narrow. He could, but he's not going to because he's afraid. That's called not having
because the
space.
person's there.
Exactly. That's called not having space.
I mean, it has space to go, but it's scared to go, and it won't go.
That's considered trapped.
That's the search trap. So what's the
Yes. Because he's talking about a goat that's not afraid. That would go out.
So we're talking about the tendency of a deer is not to go near people in that type of space.
Yeah.
We're learning about how deers work. Sheep are more us.
The sheep part is his question. That's not mine.
Animals
That
that would
doesn't
go
discuss
out,
it.
so then you can trap until the second place.
If goat go inside the house, you like the Shabbat and Yom Tov?
Woo!
Yom
On
Tov.
Yom Tov. What does it have to go in the house for? What, it's going to
You
make a
wanna be
mess.
Shabbat, I don't know.
It's going to make a mess. In
No,
the yard
but,
is better.
no, but you're allowed to take it in Shabbat outside.
Yeah, but what does it do to the house?
You can do it outside, but it's free outside.
A goat is not free. A goat is a domestic animal.
Okay, it's not okay.
Okay, speaking of domestic animal, I just
What
want
about, okay. And Yom Tov, you allowed it, it's free if it's coming to Shabbat.
No. Yeah, only if you trapped it before Yom Tov.
Okay.
So I want to just touch upon cats and dogs because we discussed them yesterday briefly. And the truth is we're going to discuss it later at the end of the Siman. So I don't want to talk about it by Hilchos at great length, but just in short, because I don't think I clarified it properly yesterday. It was another third Namlachas today. So he explains basically that to be considered that there is no tzeda at all, it has to be domestic to the point that when you try to get it, it doesn't run away. That's the point. Now, that doesn't mean that it always behaves. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes a dog's in a bad mood, he wants to run away. Okay, that doesn't mean he's not domestic. If generally, when you try to take the dog, he's happy to come to you, doesn't run away, that's considered a domestic animal, even if at this moment he's misbehaving.
Or he's full of energy.
Same for cats, he doesn't differentiate.
Special cats and there are people raised in the house.
A lot of cats are raised in the house.
I've never seen cats. Cats as if they're they're just looking to run away. I've never seen. I'm allergic to cats, so I don't like cats so much. I don't pay attention to them. But I've never seen cats that are always running out. Love to go look for their cats.
We're gonna learn. He doesn't differentiate, but I'm pretty sure in the Shulchan Aruch he does. But we'll save it for when we learn it. But he also does mention another thing, which is a type of animal that would be only asma d'Rabbanan to catch, not mid'oraisa, is any animal that comes back home at night to sleep. Even if during the day it's not so happy for you to catch it, it's only d'Rabbanan to catch. Like even a dog that's not so domesticated, because he's not so happy, you know what I'm saying, to do whatever you want, but he always comes back to sleep. So that such an animal is only d'Rabbanan to catch. So whatever, that's helpful for different situations, as we'll see. But it's just an interesting thing to know.
So a cat, a neighbor's, look, a stray cat that runs into your house. Is that domesticated? Not a
stray cat, probably not.
So a stray cat that runs into your house is considered like any of the animals we were speaking of before?
Yeah.
You can't close the door behind.
Rabbi,
What if you're allergic? You can't have it in the house. You leave.
Allergic to the extent of
It'll make you uncomfortable, or it'll make you radically sick. I think there's varying degrees.
Rabbi,
right. But usually people are allergic to cats. It's just a mild irritant.
Yeah.
It's not like a bee
Not like
or
a
something.
80%
I don't know.
80% of cat when they come into your home.
One second. So what do you want to do? You want to get rid of it? You're allowed to get rid of an animal. You want to get rid of it. What do you do?
Right? It would defeat the purpose. You want to leave it.
80% of the cat when they come into you, also if it's wild, you give me food and that's it. It's your cat.
So what's your question?
It's not living. That's
Or
it.
you give him food and you walk him outside.
No,
What's
he
the
doesn't
question?
want to leave you. Cat with food. That's it. It comes every day to your door.
Okay.
No, every day he will come to your home. You never tried that before? זה כבר שאלה אחרת. אבל חתול שאתה שם לו אוכל וכל יום בדלת שלך.
Okay. It actually says in Hilchos. Where does it say it? It says it somewhere that it's a mitzvah to feed stray dogs because they did something for us.
And Mitzrayim did not bargain us.
Is that what it was?
לא,
I don't remember what it
לשונו,
says.
לא חרק כלב לשונו, משהו כזה.
So it says it's a mitzvah to feed stray dogs, but at the same time, you give them a zetz,
What's it?
a patch,
So they will not
so
come
they
back.
shouldn't come back. Exactly. You feed them and you hit them at the same time. Anyway. חן מישאל אצלי כאשר בביסי. הוא בא אחד ונעל.
ממשיך.
יוד, הנעל תראה ביוד. חן מישאל אצלי כאשר בביסי. הוא בא אחד ונעל גם הדלס בפנו כדי להיס שמונה שמרסה ואחר כך נתראה הצבי. אין לך איזה מויס לפתח הדלס כיוון שמשש נעל בהת הנעל לאח שווה נעשה כלום. Similarly, when a person has a deer tied inside his house, it's tied up with a rope. Another person comes. It's already captured. Another person comes and closes the door to the house. What? No, he got out of the. Out on the rope, exactly. Somebody let him go. Yeah?
Oh, okay.
Another person comes and closes the door to the house to increase the extent that deer is being guarded. Even though the door is later released from its bonds, a second person is not required to open the door to set the deer free. The rationale is that at the time he closed it, he was permitted to do so, and at present he's not performing any forbidden act at all. Similarly, if a person closes up his house to protect it without knowing that a deer has entered it, and afterwards realizes that a deer has entered, he is permitted to intentionally leave the entrance closed until nightfall in order to capture the deer. The rationale is closing the door was permissible, inasmuch as the person was totally unaware of the deer's presence, and later when he became aware, he did nothing untoward at all. If, however, he knows that a deer is in the house, he is forbidden to close the door even if he does not intend to trap the deer at all, but merely wants to protect his house. For trapping the deer is an inevitable consequence of his actions.
Who said that the Shabbos says that even if you know you're allowed to close it?
For the sake of guarding your house, yes.
Even if he knows that the tzvi is inside.
Correct. It's correct. Yeah, the Alter was not passing like the Rashba. So similarly, when a person sits down at the entrance to his home without knowing that there's a deer inside, and afterwards becomes aware of its presence, he's permitted to remain seated there until nightfall, since he is not presently performing a forbidden act.
Why to sit up till nightfall? If it's Shabbos, it's Shabbos, or night?
It's Shabbos afternoon. Shabbos afternoon. He wants to wait until Motzei Shabbos.
Oh, so this was the...
Be able to capture the deer. By the same token, if a fowl enters under a person's clothing and is thus trapped on its own accord, there is no need to open an aperture for it to escape. Instead, he may sit and guard it until nightfall. Motor leftoyach habayis b'fnei hatzvi kedei sheyirach v'yetze. You're allowed to open the door in front of a deer in order that it should go out. So too, if a deer enters into a trap, you're allowed to let it out. As long as you don't move it because it's muktzah.
So if a wounded animal came into your house and close the door, but you want to open it to help her to guard, but she cannot walk by herself. She's too tired. You're allowed to lift it up and take it out.
It's muktzah.
To let it stay in your house.
Rest. You repeal that part.
How did it get in? I mean, if it walked in, why can't it walk out?
I was tired. She's tired now, so that's it. She made it, but that's it. So you cannot have to let it until.
Yeah.
Can you tell the girl to come pick it up?
Probably. Probably.
So to push her out, no, I'm just serious. Not by hand, but can you do it by another keli to push her out? Or still? Still. You're not going to take a broom or something to help her to push her out?
When you say push it out, well, what do you mean by that? You're lifting it up and you're putting it out, or you're pushing it and making it go out on its own?
Without it,
No, it's a difference.
Push it.
You're allowed to push it.
She cannot stand up.
without the
You're
push up,
pushing it, you want to take her out of your house.
Okay, if you can't stand up, you can't push it. You can't push it if it can't stand up. But if it could walk, you're allowed to push it out.
Yes,
You're just pushing it to walk on its own. You're forcing it to walk, but you're not actually considered to be the one
She
that.
cannot walk, I can just push her out.
No. Because that's like moving.
And shin chet, you're allowed to grab it, to pull it. Right, Rabbi? We studied that. We check it.
You let it push it, let it grab it, let it push it. The Mefarshim discussed, by the way, why is it that you're allowed to set an animal free? Why is it not Asur Rabbanon? You're not allowed to untie a knot. You're not allowed to rip something that you sewed. You're not allowed to destroy something that you build. You're not allowed to carry out or in. There's so many melachas that have both ways. You can't erase what you wrote. So many melachas have, the opposite of them. But the difference is that when all of those are considered a constructive thing, you erase, you should be able to write again. You knock down, you should be able to rebuild. You rip to be able to sew. I don't remember what else I said. But each one is considered a constructive act. When it comes to this, you let the animal go, finish. That's the end of it. There's no, you can't fix that. You know what I'm saying? It's gone. You catch it again. It's the same as catching a new animal. Can't fix it. So that's why it's not similar to a malach.
כן, אבל שאלתי את משהו אחר. בסדר, כן, אבל שאלתי את משהו אחר.
See, right? One is
כן, אני יודע, אבל שאלתי אותו לגבי משהו אחר.
Just release it.
לא...
You can release it.
Release it, but not push it.
You can push it if it's going to walk on its own. You can encourage it to walk on its own even by pushing. But you can't lift it up.
כן, אבל
that's
כל עוד היא יכולה ללכת בכוחות עצמה, לא אם לא יכולה...
As long as one does not move the deer.
זה שתי שאלות שונות, שתי דברים שונים. זה אתה יכול לסייע...
That's what it means. As long as one does not move the deer, because it's muktzah.
כן, אבל אם היא לא יכולה ללכת בכלל...
If it is able to walk on its own, then you can push it. Because the pushing is just to make it walk on its own.
Okay.
But you can't lift it. You can't lift it.
נרים אותו אסור.
שפכו המים. שפכו המים.
Okay. Zion and the Mechaber, my friends. Back to the Mechaber. Tzad Nechoshim v'Akav b'Shabbos. A person who traps snakes and scorpions on Shabbos. Shar Masham Mazikin. Or other crawling animals that are dangerous. Im l'refuah chayiv. If he's doing it because he wants to make a refuah out of them. He wants to take the snake's poison or the scorpion's poison, and he wants to make medicine.
רופא חולה מסוכן גם כן?
לא חולה מסוכן. סתם?
סתם רפואה.
סתם רפואה. אפילו אין פה חולה. סתם הוא רוצה, he wants to make medicine, he's going to sell it. He's chayiv.
He captured the scorpion and the snake for refuah. And he made medicine. Is this medicine also the shimush?
Maybe. Could be. Could be. Because here you can't wait till after Shabbos because after Shabbos he wouldn't have been able to catch it. He was only able to catch it on Shabbos. So the only way to make it asr is to make it asr. You know what I'm saying? Normally we say...
So this medicine has to olam or... I'm just in terms this is mentioned
it's probably asr. I think it's asr. Because this is something he couldn't have done another time.
No, for everybody, not for him, no?
It's like a food. Not for everybody, Rabbi. It's the same for like a food. If somebody cook and shogeg and Shabbat...
I think it's also for everybody forever, because when it comes to food, he could always cook it later. When it comes to trapping, maybe he could never trap it again. Maybe this is the only time he could trap it. Understand? He got a chance now. Maybe he would never have a chance later.
Oh, okay.
So it's more like a...
I want to say the trap. The medicine is doing the action.
Siman says Asurola, but I don't know exactly.
I don't know. Not sure. V'im b'shvil shlei shchen pater mutter. If it's for the sake that it shouldn't bite him, it's actually mutter. This is an unusual thing that we go from chayev to mutter. Usually we say chayev or pater. Here it's chayev to mutter. Meaning to say, he doesn't want the animal to bite him. It's not an isser to Oraisa, because it's a melacha she'ein tzarich legufa. He doesn't want the animal, he just doesn't want the animal to bite him. And it's to prevent serious harm. These animals can do him serious harm, even though they're not dangerous, but they can do serious harm. So therefore it's mutter.
And then he can make a medicine of that.
I don't know about that. Once he makes a medicine, maybe it shows that he wasn't doing it just to prevent from harm.
When the Torah allowed you to kill certain creatures because sakana, you can allow to use any weapon or any way to kill, or
Sakana, yes. If it's not a sakana, it's just a damage, we're going to see, according to the Rambam, you have to do kala achayat. You have to do it in an unusual way.
if you should be the right, you should be the left.
No. Should step on it. Doing things with the left is not a shina, by the way, except for writing. Turning a light on with the left hand is a regular way of doing malacha. Person turns on a light with the left hand is doing a regular malacha.
To step in Nachash, you have to be a really professional. Otherwise,
Yeah.
will snake you, he'll bite you.
Yeah. By the way, the snake professionals say that you should never try to kill a snake. It's too dangerous.
Stay away from him.
Stay away, finished. Stop.
It's pretty smart. They know it.
Yeah. Now, in terms of nachashim, why is there a chiyuv capturing a nachash when most people don't capture snakes? We said it's only a chiyuv if it's been minoi nitzad, if that type is nitzad. So he explains here in the Dirshu that the people who capture snakes do it for a purpose. When it comes to other animals like insects, nobody wants the insect. They always want to just not be bothered by the insect, right? As opposed to animals that have some use. You know what I'm saying? You want the cows. I mean, cows are domestic. I'm saying a horse. You want it. You want the horse. You want even animals that you don't want the horse. The animal you want the skin, right? Animals with nice fur. You want the fur. So that's the definition. Snakes, people catch the snakes because they want the snakes. They want them for a food or whatever it is. So that's why it's considered yesh b'mina eitzed. Even though most people don't do it. But those that do it for the animal itself, not for a side point. All right, my friends, we'll call it a week and we'll start in session next week.
What do you plan to accomplish next week?